You remember as a little kid, your prayer was, thank you God for everything. Thank you God for everything. And I think what it means to me now is so much deeper. It's, I'm touched by your words. And to see Tom Hanks up there, it's like, oh my God, we are lucky to be alive. Thank you God for this universe. Thank you for precious human birth. And it takes sometimes us getting together to set a vibration to feel it. You know what I'm saying? You need to make the choice, because your head tells you something different. And so this whole talk is going to be about, what is it that matters in life? And so I'm going to start off that way and ask you right now to go within and think what matters to you more than anything in the world. What is it that matters? You don't have to speak it or even, but just be thinking about that, because that's what I did through this talk. And I thought, what is it that really matters to me? And what I know is that what matters is different today than it was at a different stage in my life. When I was a kid, it was different than it was as a young woman, as it is right now. What is it that finally really, really matters to me? And we're working with Angela Ahrens, and what she says is that right now I'm in the third act of my life. And I love that, because the way she puts this is that when you're in your 60s, I just turned 60. Actually, I turned 61, didn't I? Yes. Oh well, details. But she calls 60s the youth of your wisdom. So I'm in my youth, really, of wisdom. She calls 70s the middle age of your wisdom, and 80 and over, wise. You are wise. You've learned, you've had your life. I love that. See, in the first 50 years, so if you're under that first 50 years, you're still figuring it out. And I know we all are all of it. I'm still figuring everything out. It's not like I'm wise, but I'm getting there, I'm learning. And I think that's what it is. And so what matters to us changes so much. When we get to be in our 60s, when we start to be a little bit wiser, you know what is the best thing about it is that we get to be who we are, and it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks so much. Do you feel that way too, a lot, that you struggled your whole life trying to figure out, or try to make other people happy, or try to be something? And when you get a little bit older, it's like, it's just me. It is what it is, And I'm beginning to really be comfortable in my own shoes instead of trying to please everybody else. And I think that Oscar Wilde, I love it, says, be yourself because everybody else is taken. I can't be Judy. I can't be Judy, And so I just have to be me, And so that's huge. That's a huge thing to learn. And it's important that we each get that. It's this soul hunting. I think I've soul hunted my whole life. I'm looking, to feel what I know is inside, and I've touched it several times, and I want to live it. I want to be there all the time. It doesn't happen all the time, but I touch it a lot more than I did when I was young. This soul hunting and discovering who we think that we are. It's this like deeper soul journey of uncovering and covering what's good in your life and what doesn't work and what works. And it's this journey of traveling through it. So I know for the first 2 acts of my life that, see when I ask you what matters, I can't tell you what matters to you. I'm only going to talk about me, and so if it's like, oh, it's about her again, I don't want to do that because, but the truth is that I have to talk about me, right? Because maybe you'll hear something that you can resonate with, and it'll make you think about you. And I think the best talks I've heard from you is when we get more personal, and it's not about what a book said, but it's about what we. So that's why I talk about me. So for the first 2 acts, I'm going to tell you that what was important was out there for me. Right? To be the best mom, to be the best sister, to be the best friend. It was always about building the house, the family, the outside of me. It was about building the house. And there was a lot of experiences along the way. So what mattered was out, not within, not the foundation. Okay? And I think what's really cool is that there's a lot of young people that are coming now to Common Ground too. You are hearing messages that you can start to build your foundation instead of the house first. Does that make sense? So now I feel like I'm starting to work on my foundation. And the foundation, what I'm finding out, is the most important thing in the world. I've thought over and over. And the first thing is, what matters? It's my family. You know, of course that matters. But what matters is me. What matters is the love that I touch inside of me. That's more important than anything else. Because when I touch the love inside of me, I give so much more out. My family means more to me. My friends mean more to me. When I touch what's inside of me, it's every experience is different. And it has a love in it. Whether it's a painful experience or whether it's this awesome experience. It doesn't matter, because if I'm wise enough and I go within, there's love within that too. See, so the answer is that the only thing is that love happens in all of us. And it's within everything that you do, everything you say, every act that you do. It's within the dinners that we have as we sit together. Either at Spires, we eat together. We go over to your house, we eat just lunch together. It's talking, it's laughing. That's what love's about. That's what matters in life. That's what matters. I matter. When I say I mean you matter to you. Your self-worth. And knowing that you are so incredibly worthy. That you are a beautiful soul who deserves to feel life and love within. It's about self-transformation. It's about discovering who you really, really are so that you can see it in others. You know, I think about, and as I was thinking about this talk, I was thinking of all the stuff, you know, that what mattered to me and what I've been through in my life. And I haven't been through probably a lot more than you have, but I've been through a heck of a lot in these 60 years. It seems like from the time I was young, I went through these experiences, from the rape as a young child, at 5 years old. And coming through that and thinking what mattered then to, as a young woman, going through a divorce with kids, with my husband leaving and going through the pain of a lot of details there. You know, going through the pain that we had at Unity. There was a lot of, that was a big thing in my life, is when, you know, we left our spiritual community because we left people, and it was a really heavy, heavy thing. And to the marrying of a man I loved more than anything in the world, and then to watch his struggling from addiction and drugs and alcohol until he finally died, and to go through that. And then to look at everything and the pain and the devastation, and to see that it was all a foundation of love through it. See that there was, that's what you take from it. That every experience I go back and I can find the growth through the love and the transformation that happens. See, and that's what matters. The experience doesn't matter what happens to you. It doesn't matter. Whatever happens to you, because through it is the thread, the golden thread of love, the connection between you and spirit. So whatever you're going through in life, there is this incredible energy that is still there, and it only brings you to it. You know that it's the devastating things in life that bring you to it, if you let it, that bring you to God. The God within you. The energy of love within you. See, the only thing that matters in life. And I say the only thing because it's everything. So it doesn't sound like, oh, she doesn't think that family matters. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying this comes first. You know the Bible saying, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all things will be added to you. That's what that means. You seek the love in here first through everything that you've been through. And you feel it. And then you move with it. And everything else comes to you. Life just happens. It opens the way for grace to happen. And then when grace happens, your life just blossoms. You know, you're happy to be alive. You're at that moment of the volcano and looking at the sun. You know, what was he looking at? The sunset, the moon. I don't know what it was, but it was beautiful. You know? And he's looking at it saying, thank you, God. You know, have you been there on your knees and just said, oh, thank you, God. Thank you for everything, you know? I look at what matters in life. Sometimes, you know, we sweat the small stuff. You know, we sweat the details. It's like crazy. When what really matters is underneath of it, is the foundation. That's kind of the basis of this talk, is to build the foundation of your life and let the things be added to you. Don't sweat the small stuff that doesn't matter, you know, that doesn't matter at all. Sometimes You know, I think, you know, Judy and I, everybody says, oh my gosh, you guys are just, you know, like sisters and you get along, and we do get along. And you know why that it's lasted? How long have we've been ministry partners and friends for how many years? 17, 18 years, I don't know, forever and ever. And a lot of people say, you know, how can you work together? You know, how, you know, it's that usually people get in fights and do that. We don't always agree. You know, what matters to Judy sometimes is way different than what matters to me. But I'll tell you why. It's because we know what really matters. And what really matters is that deep thread of friendship. So it doesn't matter if she wants something different or I want something different. We get beyond that. And I'm asking you to look at your life and see if you can get beyond something with somebody that you love in your life, to find the common thread. Because the details don't matter. It's like 100 years from now, what's going to matter anyway? You know, I see people split up all the time, friends. What really mattered? You know, what really mattered? It's for you to step into that place of love within you. Love matters, and it's the only thing that really, really, really matters. Being kind. Being kind is love. You know, the Jewel song, I was thinking you'd be really good. You sing Jewel at all? She has a beautiful song that says, only kindness matters. Because that, you know, and that's true. It's like being kind. That's what matters to me, is being kind to one another. Is to opening your heart and quit judging. Quit judging everybody. You know, with your head, even in your head, sometimes we do that. And it's like, if you notice that, just step back. We all do it. Stop. Step back. Drop into love. Drop into love. Kindness isn't hard. You can fake it till you make it. You can be kind until you feel kind. And that's what this whole talk is about. It's about treating everyone with that love and then living it. I quit, well, I still do to-do lists. I used to do to-do lists all the time, have Post-its all over to do this, to do that, to do that. I still keep to-do lists, but I also have to-be lists. You know, get up in the morning. What do you want to do? Of course you got to do stuff. We got a lot to do. But what's way more important than our to-do list is how we want to be. So along with your to-do list, do a to-be list. I want to be kind. I want to be loving, and I want to be grateful. I want to see that we're talking about living this grateful life. And you can't live a grateful life until you are loving, until you know the love inside of you. That's why I say the first thing has to be that. The first thing has to be to love who you are. And then who you be. Who you be is so important. Every day, decide who you be, not what you're going to do, or do both. Have a what matters list. What matters in life? See, I want an attitude of gratefulness. I want to get up in the morning and I just want to feel love. I want to feel, you know, life. I want to live deeply. Doesn't mean I'm always going to be happy, and that's okay too, but I can always be grateful. I can always be grateful for something, no matter what has happened in your life. You can always be grateful. Living gratefully allows us to see what we truly want is before our eyes. Everything you really, really want in life is right here, and it's free. If you just take a breath and know it's all within, and you look outside, you can see the shade of this big, beautiful tree, and you see a flower, you see a friend, if you have a warm cup of coffee, a warm cup of tea, you know, that's what you can be grateful for. You're sitting here in a sanctuary that's beautiful. It's not too hot, too cold right now. Sometimes it is. Be grateful. Find what is the gratefulness within you, you know, and concentrate. Put your attention there. Place your attention there. A grateful attitude is a life well spent. I love that. So I'll close now by just saying, you know, go within, figure out what it is that matters to you. Really give it some thought. And thank God. Thank God. And when I say God, I don't mean somebody out there. I'm talking about the God within. Thank God for your life, for your very, very, very precious life. And then ask yourself what matters. Because what matters determines how you will live. Thank you.